What if I told you that the planet Jupiter has something in common with thunder and lightning, or that the seasons we experience every year might be explained by an ancient kidnapping story? Welcome to one of the most powerful civilizations in human history, the Roman Empire. Today, we're going to discover how the Romans borrowed their gods from Greece, built roads that still exist today, and created one of the bloodiest sports entertainment in history. But here's what makes this story really interesting. Sometimes, even in the most violent places, people find the courage to do what's right. Let's jump in. Picture this. You're a Roman trader visiting Greece about 2,500 years ago. You hear amazing stories about powerful gods who control everything from the sky to the sea. You think, these stories are incredible. I'm taking them home. That's basically what happened. The Romans loved Greek mythology so much that they adopted the Greek gods and gave them Roman names. Zeus, the king of Greek gods who ruled the sky and threw thunderbolts? The Romans called him Jupiter. And guess what? That's why we named the biggest planet in our solar system Jupiter. The Greek god of war, Ares, became Mars in Rome. Yep, the red planet. And Poseidon, the Greek god who controlled the oceans? The Romans renamed him Neptune, which is now the name of that beautiful blue planet way out in our solar system. So every time you look at a map of our solar system, you're actually seeing ancient Roman gods floating in space. But the Romans didn't just rename gods. They also told stories to explain things in nature. One of the most beautiful stories explains why we have winter and summer. Imagine a goddess named Ceres who had an amazing power. Wherever she walked, crops would grow. Trees would burst with fruit just from her touch. She had a daughter named Proserpina, who was as beautiful as a spring morning. One day, while Proserpina was picking flowers, something terrifying happened. The ground suddenly cracked open beneath her feet, and she vanished into darkness. A powerful ruler named Hades, who lived in the underground world of the dead, had taken her to be his queen. When Ceres discovered this, she was absolutely furious. "If I can't have my daughter back," she declared, "then nothing will ever grow on Earth again." And just like that, all the leaves turned brown and fell. The grass died. Flowers withered away. The whole world became cold and lifeless. Jupiter, the king of the gods, had to step in. He made a deal. Since Proserpina had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds in the underworld, she would have to spend 6 months there each year. And that's why, according to the Romans, we have seasons. When Proserpina is underground with Hades, her mother Ceres grieves, and winter covers the land. But when Proserpina returns each spring, Ceres is so happy that flowers bloom and everything turns green again. Pretty cool explanation, right? Now let's talk about something the Romans were really good at: building stuff. While other ancient civilizations were traveling on muddy, bumpy paths full of holes and rocks, the Romans were engineering highways. Seriously, they dug trenches and filled them with sand. Then they added small stones, then concrete, and finally, smooth paving stones on top. They even put up stone markers called milestones so travelers would know exactly how far they had to go. The most famous road was called the Appian Way, and here's the amazing part. You can still walk on parts of it today, over 2,000 years later. Romans also invented concrete by mixing volcanic ash, water, and lime. With this super material, they built apartment buildings that were 5 stories tall. They constructed huge aqueducts, kind of like stone bridges with water pipes that brought fresh water into cities from springs 30 miles away. And guess what? Romans loved taking baths. But not at home in a tiny tub. They went to public baths that were more like community swimming pools. People would rub themselves with soap made from animal fat, scrape themselves clean with special curved blades, and then swim in pools filled with water from those amazing aqueducts. Now we're going to meet someone named Servius. His story isn't real, but thousands of men just like him actually existed in ancient Rome. Servius was a simple metal worker who lived in a quiet village by the sea. He made tools for farmers and fish hooks for fishermen. At night, he would sit with his friends around a fire, telling stories and singing songs. Life was good. Then one day, everything changed. Roman soldiers appeared out of nowhere. They conquered his village and took Servius prisoner. He was forced to travel for days down a long stone road until he reached the most crowded city he had ever seen, Rome. the soldiers had plans for him. Because Servius was big, strong, and showed courage when he tried to fight back, they decided he would become a gladiator, someone who fights other men for entertainment. At the gladiator school, Servius lived in a cell like a prisoner. Every day he was forced to train. He had to run, jump, wrestle, and climb until he was covered in sweat and mud. He learned to fight with a short sword and heavy shield. The trainers made him repeat an oath. I agree to be burned by fire, bound in chains, beaten by rods, and to die by the sword. Servius was terrified. His first real fight in the arena was only a week away. The day of the fight arrived. Servius walked into the arena wearing a heavy helmet with tiny eye holes. He could barely see. His opponent was a net fighter who carried a three-pointed spear and a fishing net. The crowd was cheering. Men, women, even children were watching and shouting. They wanted to see a fight. Servius raised his sword and shield. The net fighter threw his net but missed. Suddenly, the net fighter turned and ran. He was just as scared as Servius. Servius chased him. The net fighter tripped. Before he knew it, Servius was standing right over his opponent. He had won. But then he saw the crowd making a thumbs down sign. They wanted him to kill the other man. That's what gladiators were supposed to do. Servius looked down at the terrified man below him. The net fighter had closed his eyes, waiting to die. But Servius did something incredible. He put his sword away and stepped back. Get up, he said. I cannot kill you. I am not an animal. It would be wrong to kill a man just for entertainment. The crowd booed loudly. They wanted blood. But Servius walked away. He knew he might be punished, maybe even killed for his choice, but he refused to do something he knew was wrong. The Romans were incredibly powerful. They built roads and buildings that lasted thousands of years. They created stories about gods that we still talk about today. But they also had a dark side. They enjoyed watching people get hurt for fun. What makes Servius's story special is that even in a world that celebrated violence, some people chose to be kind instead of cruel. A Roman philosopher named Seneca wrote that the audience actually learned something when gladiators refused to kill. It is more decent to die than to kill. What do you think? Could you have made the same choice Servius did? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next adventure through history.